Hey everybody, today I want to talk about something which I've just been really exploring a lot lately. I think that the multi-touch experience is something I love with the iPad and how it ties into Logic. And we want to look at the MPE functionality inside Logic. Now you might be familiar with this with like the Rolly controllers and some of the other ones that do MPE, but I don't know how many of us realize that the iPad is capable of controlling with this Midi polyphonic expression. And so I want to go through how to set that up, and then I want to show you some examples of why this is one of the coolest things in the universe. And you should all go out and certainly buy an iPad like tomorrow. I mean, geez, this is amazing. And so what we have is my iPad connected just with the Logic Pro Control app. And so that's all that this is. I just have this then in Smart Control keyboard mode. And right in the middle of the screen, you can see that kind of changing, but glissando, scroll, or pitch. Pitch is the one we want to use. Now on the actual instrument itself inside Logic, we have a few of these that this works with. Not all of them, but certainly some of them. And the ones that work with this, I have it written down over here, are Alchemy, EFM1, ES2, Quick Sampler, Retro Synth, the Sampler, Sculpture, and the Vintage Clav. So I've got Sculpture out. This is one of my favorite instruments anyway, but to be able to do MPE stuff with this is pretty brilliant. So you go down to the expanded parameters and you'll see the Midi mono mode. Typically that's set to off, which if I have it off and I play a note in pitch mode on my iPad screen, it works like a normal pitch bend and it doesn't do a whole bunch. Depends on what you have it set to. But if you switch this to on with a common bass channel 1, and there's a reason for 1 or 16, but for the most part what this means is that anything that sends up like pitch control or let's see, which are all of the things which can be controlled here. And with this we can control simultaneously the following parameters, or at least among the following parameters of each individual note: timbre, pitch, pressure, volume. And so you get to actually send that information on a note by note basis instead of like with a traditional keyboard. I've got my big keyboard controller and it has a pitch bend, and if I do that it pitches everything, not just individual notes. Well, in here with this turned on, and the mono mode pitch range is set to 48 semitones by default. That means how many notes can you bend. And 48 is kind of an important. You can go higher, but this 48 keeps it compatible with GarageBand for iOS and some other external, like I think guitar MIDI controllers. Anyway, I think 48 is probably enough. Now I can play a note and change that pitch. But say I do a fifth here, a C and a G, I can bend them in different directions simultaneously. You come up with some amazing sounds this way. And so we don't necessarily have as much control as I'd want. For instance, right now, if I hold a C, it tries to go note by note still, even though it's a pitch bend. You can kind of hear it like latching onto each individual note. And you can see that as well with the actual blue dots on the iPad. I want to be able to take that down to a further level and do things in between the notes. But, you know, I'm okay. If you go fast, you actually can do much more smooth bend across it. You can come up with some really amazing sounds with this. And so I was just going through a few of these with Sculpture. Let's see if I can find. I mean, the complexity of pitch information that's happening there when I'm doing like 4 notes simultaneously and changing their pitch in different directions or by different amounts, you can come up with some really amazing soundscapes or sound design or even things that are musical. And with some of these instruments, we get a different effect as we move up the keys on this Logic control. So for instance, let's go to Retro Synth. I'm going to turn that feature on, the mini mono mode, and I'm going to play a chord. So one note, C2, C4. I can do like the aftertouch, which essentially is what we're triggering there, independently for a note. We come up with a very different sound. Awesome. You can't come up with this sound in very many other ways. And the fact that this is built into Logic, the MPE stuff, and into the control app, which is a multi-touch interface, it's just unmatched. I mean, the Rolly stuff is cool, but this minus the squishy feel can do pretty much everything that you can do in that. I'm exaggerating slightly, but you get what I mean. This is a very powerful way to control your information. The last thing I want to look at, let's just record something here. There we go. Okay, just like that. So I want to look at this data real quick so you can see what that looks like. And let's turn on automation mode here. You can see the velocity stayed the same. And now we can look at pitch bend for each of the individual things that were recorded. So now we can actually come through and edit these. All separately. So that is the beauty of this, is that we do have the ability now to come through and edit and see exactly what we did for each of these. And that makes it a super powerful way not only to record it, but to edit it. And then we can use this information in many different ways. We could attach this to a different instrument. We could do it with a different one of the MPE instruments, or we could actually copy and paste and take one of these performances into a non-MPE. There's just a lot of applications for this. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this look at this. I think this is a really interesting way to work, and a lot of power in this, but you have to know how to turn it on, and you have to understand the lingo, which isn't very clear. and then have to kind of, learn how to perform in this way. Okay, that's it. Hope you're having a great week. Talk to you later.